Hey everybody, welcome back to Asian Boss. I'm your host Steve, and let me ask you a question. Do you know which country in the world is deemed so friendly and laid back that you just can't imagine them saying anything bad or picking fights with anybody? Australia. Well, Australia was recently brought into the international spotlight when the US President Donald Trump apparently had a short and tense phone call with the Prime Minister of Australia and tweeted the US accepting refugees under the Australia-US agreement was a dumb deal. So we thought we'll take this opportunity to find out how the people of Australia feel about Donald Trump and the relationship between the two countries. For more, let's go to our Asian Boss correspondent in Sydney. PK, take it away.
How would you describe the relationship between Australia and America?
I think they've got a pretty long relationship that's been pretty beneficial over the years.
As far as I'm aware, it's strong. Yeah.
Well, I guess throughout history it was pretty good, like they were really good buddies, but now with this kind of thing going on between Trump and Malcolm Turnbull, like not so much anymore.
With like Donald Trump saying all this stuff and taking like shots at our Prime Minister, definitely there'll be some controversy. Yeah, definitely.
How do you feel about Donald Trump as the US president?
Look, I think he's got a lot of shortcomings, but I think he's also trying to stick by what he believes, which is at least something positive about him.
I've heard lots of different opinions, but I don't personally like him because of what he said about women and just little comments he'd make. I think they're just stupid. But I've heard people like, oh, he's switching it up, he's changing things up, it's good for a change. But I mean, there's only so much you can change before it becomes a little bit too much.
Interesting times we're living in. As I said, I'm optimistic. He's an interesting character, so he's going to be pushing a lot of buttons on people, but yeah, who knows how it's going to play out.
I don't really like his racist and his sexist comments all the time. They infuriate me, and his attitude.
I hate him. I don't like him.
Yeah, I don't really like him either, to be honest, but you know, it is what it is and you just got to deal with it.
How would you compare President Trump to Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull?
So I believe Malcolm Turnbull and Donald Trump have some similarities in their regards to their conservative values. Despite the fact of both being conservative, they have very different agendas, and one is focusing on trade and sort of expanding the reach, Australia and Malcolm Turnbull, and you got Donald Trump on the other hand. He's opposed to expansion and he's like globalization and protectionism of the states.
I think actually he's got a lot in common with Donald Trump, but I think he's trying to work for the best of Australians.
I think Malcolm Turnbull, he's more looking out for the people, whereas Donald Trump, I think he has his more personal views about him. And yeah, he says he's looking after the people, but I think he gets his personal views get in the way a little bit more than Malcolm Turnbull.
The US press recently mispronounced Malcolm Turnbull's name to Malcolm Trumbull.
I heard that. That was pretty funny.
How do you feel about this?
Well, it made me laugh because obviously they hadn't done the proper research, and but
Were you annoyed or
a little bit annoyed, but also it just thought it was funny how they got it wrong.
Definitely disrespecting his name. He's like worked hard to be the Prime Minister, and just like saying that about his last name. Obviously, I know that's not his name. It's pretty disrespectful.
That's just poor effort on the part of the US. They should at least be able to respect people from other nations by putting in, you know, the minutes work it would take to actually get A, their name, but B, their title right.
Right.
Because they called him President Trumbull, I think, rather than just Prime Minister.
Recently, President Trump tweeted that the US taking refugees from Australia was a dumb deal. What do you think about this statement?
I think Trump's got a point. You should be responsible for taking your own refugees. However, Trump's a point in itself. I'm not taking any refugees is completely wrong.
I think he's just not very open about many other people other than Americans. I think he's a little bit self-centered.
To be honest, I kind of agree with him, mainly because I think Australia should be taking in those refugees from the respect that every country that has the resources to be doing their best to house refugees, I think that's that's where I would disagree with him. I think the US and Australia should both be doing more to take in as many refugees as possible.
As an Australian, how do you feel about the travel ban ordered by President Trump that has been temporarily overturned by the US courts?
Banning Muslim majority countries, specifically who haven't even taken part in any terrorist activities in the last 20 years or so, just purely because they're based on a Muslim majority in a country and a religion, is a completely wrong way about going about it.
I think that was ridiculous what Trump was trying to do, and I have no idea what he was thinking. Like the travel ban, I think it's just going to make things a lot worse and make more tensions between nations, and that's not going to fix anything if he's just blocking people out.
It's not fair. I did hear that one, I think it was an Australian kid, and he couldn't go on a class trip to the US because he was
a passport or something.
and so that I didn't think that was right to do something like that, because there are bad Americans, there are bad Australians. It's not just those nations there's bad people in every country. So
well done to the US courts. I think it's ridiculous that you can ban people from coming in based purely on what passport they possess. I think that's led to repercussions like an Australian kid who just wanted to go and experience some culture and wasn't allowed to because he has a dual passport citizenship. I think that it just is so disrespectful to so many people to assume that just because you're from a certain country means you're going to act in a certain way. I think that's just not true and a really poor way of approaching things.
Are you concerned about the relationship between the two countries?
I think we've already seen that their relationships begin to deteriorate. I would like to see us work together, despite the fact that Trump is president, but I'm just not sure if that's likely to happen with his temperament.
If Trump's okay with us, then we'll be okay, but I think if he starts making unreasonable statements about Australia or does anything like that, it would probably make complications. But being Australia, I know it sounds bad, but compared to other countries with his views, I think we'd be all right. But I'm sure Australia will take stand if he does anything drastic to other countries.
if Trump goes into something starts some war, because we are allies, we'll sort of have to follow, and I don't want that. I don't want anything like that to happen.
How would you describe Donald Trump, in one word?
Pig,
Coward.
Just disrespectful and rude.
racist.